What is up? It is the number one NFL analyst, Mickey G. I'm back, and it's been a while since I've said anything. I believe Deshaun Watson may have been the last video talked about either that or the Super Bowl. I can't remember which one, but it's been a while. I haven't had a lot of inspiration when it comes to the NFL. But it is one day before the NFL draft, and the Jaguars, man, they've got a lot of picks here. They got 10 picks going into it, and last year I also gave my thoughts on who the Jaguars would select, and to be fair, I got the first round pretty darn well. They started off with C.J. Henderson and then got Caleb Chase on afterwards, and I was kind of right with both those picks. So I decided to come in here and give that once again. Now, the first overall pick, a little easy on who they're going to pick. Trevor Lawrence, without question. I mean, we bought him a freaking toaster. I think it's pretty obvious who we're taking with that spot, but number 25 is a little bit of a difference. That's up in the air. There's a lot of different spots you can take. I mean, it's one out of their 10 picks they have, so a lot can go on here, including a maybe trade up or trade down in different positions and things like that. And so I'm going to tell you what I think that their team needs are, as well as some of the key players they should probably try to take and what rounds I think they might grab them in and stuff like that. But let's start here. Obviously, number one need, probably quarterback. Gardner, after a pretty solid season the year before, 2020 was a bit of a letdown. He started off strong, but obviously the 1-15 season was not what they were looking for, except now we get Trevor Lawrence. The number two need, I think, is actually tight end. Kyle Pitts is the number one tight end in the draft. I would absolutely love it if the Jaguars get him, but that's likely not the case. If they can trade up into the top 10, they might be able to snag him, but he likely will be gone, maybe in the top 5, but definitely he is not getting outside of the top 10. The other tight end prospect that I think they might try to grab here is Pat Freiermuth from Penn State. I expect him to either get in the 245 spot or round 365, either late second round, early first round, I think is likely where he'll go. And who knows if he even makes it all the way to 245. They might have to try to grab him at 233. Another team need is linebacker. The depth was not there last year. Schobert was a little lacking first half of the season. He got better as it went on. Miles Jack had an absolutely fantastic season. However, he was hurt. And the backups, I mean, they weren't quite there. They do need some help there in the linebacker position. So I'd like them to try to grab a guy here. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame. If he's there, I'd say take him at 125 is a solid spot. Nick Bolton from Missouri, Zaven Collins from Tulsa. Those guys, I feel like they're a good pick at around 233 and 245. Second round guys. The third need I'm going to say is safety. Really, the defensive backfield all last year was a bit rough. A lot of injuries for one, and the depth definitely wasn't there. They had some bright spots. Sidney Jones did well. C.J. Henderson in the few games he played was all right. He started off really strong against the Colts, but kind of dipped out afterwards. Daniel Thomas played pretty well when he was healthy, but he got hurt very early. So it's going to be tough for have him be a starting guy. And that was one of the positions that they didn't really go after that much in free agency. Cornerback, they went off a lot in free agency, and they haven't guys come back. Hopefully he's staying healthy. C.J. Henderson, Sidney Jones. But they went out and got Shaquille Griffin. So they're expecting corner to be kind of the spot that they've gotten after in the free agency. So safety is the other part of the defensive backfield that they need to go after. And so some of the guys I'm thinking there, Trayvon Moehrig from TCU, if he's there at 125. Elijah Molden from Washington. Jamar Johnson from Indiana. Richie Grant from UCF. These are the second rounders, 233 and 245 are not bad spots to grab them. Next is offensive line. Offensive line is always an important spot. For the most part, the offensive line last year was pretty solid. I mean, they had an over 1,000-yard rusher in James Robinson, who was a complete surprise to most people. Did a great job last year. Very proud of that. But you always want to have depth there, especially at the tackle position. They had some issues. Later in the season, Cam Robinson taking a little bit of a step back. Hopefully he gets back in the right spot and he can continue to stay at that strong tackle position. But anyways, we have Elijah Vera Tucker from USC, Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech, Walker Little from Stanford. These are guys you might want to trade at 125. Elijah Vera Tucker likely won't be there by 125, but if he's there, I'd say take him. Tevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State, Dylan Raduns from North State University, Samuel Cosme from Texas. These are guys are going to be there at 233. Not bad picks at all. Landon Dickerson from Alabama, Quinn Miners from Wisconsin Whitewater. They took a guy like Ben Barch. Was a little bit of a smaller college. Wouldn't be surprised if they did it again. Granted, it was a different regime last year than it is now, but still. Alex Leatherwood from Alabama and Jackson Carman from Clemson. Getting a guy from Clemson to go along with Trevor Lawrence, not a bad pick. Staying around 245, you guys can grab them. But granted, linemen are one of those positions that are taken a lot of and quickly, so likely not a lot of them will still be there by each pick. And then the final need that I feel like the team has is defensive line. They had some struggles But they did a lot of free agency pickups on the defensive line, especially interior D line. So I don't know if they necessarily want to take someone here, but if there is a really tough player that's up there, there's no reason not to add more depth, which is definitely something that they need to have for this upcoming year. They're a very young team, so they could have depth at a lot of positions. That's helpful. So Christian Barmore from Alabama, if he's there at 125, I'd say take him. Alan McNeil from NC State, I'd say take him at 245. Those are the interior D-line guys that I really think that would help out the team a lot. But another interesting aspect that I'm going to throw into it this year is the fact that Urban Meyer, being their head coach, might grab some of these Ohio State guys. Just throw out there some of these guys that I feel like they could take at different positions, such as Wyatt Davis, offensive line. I mean, it's the position that they need. So at 245, 365, and a second round, early third, wouldn't be a terrible pick. Wouldn't be surprised if Urban Meyer would take that if they are still searching for alignment at that point in the draft. Tommy Togiai, obviously very strong individual, did a great job, lots of bench press at the combine and pro days, things like that. Wouldn't be a terrible pick there, as well to add to that defensive line depth. Pete Warner, he's projected around the third and fourth round. Wouldn't be a bad spot as well to add to that linebacker depth. Josh Myers, another offensive lineman, around the third round. If him or Wyatt Davis is there, I wouldn't be surprised if he's taken. Shaun Wade, interesting. Well, he wasn't as strong this past year. Going into 2020, he was expected to be a very high draft prospect, but he struggled a little bit in the past year. Maybe if put back in an Urban Meyer scheme, he does better. So Shaun Wade expected around 145, 170 in the fifth round. Baron Browning expected late second, early third. So 245, 365, another linebacker depth person. Jonathan Cooper, defensive end, another seventh round guy, maybe undrafted, add on to the team. Trey Sermon, they want some more depth at the running back position. James Robinson had a lot of carries. He carried a lot on his back last year. They got Carlos Hyde in the offseason. They still have a couple guys left over that were backups last year, but they want a guy like Trey Sermon, who is a little added bonus there. So around the third and fourth round is likely where they would take him. And then Luke Farrell, a tight end. They need the tight end, and this guy's a good run blocker from the Ohio State scheme. And really, if they want to try to ride James Robinson a lot this year, which they will do with a rookie quarterback, then I'd say tight end, especially run blocking tight end, not a bad pick. And then Tuff Borland, another seventh round or undrafted guy as well, another linebacker depth kind of guy. But anyways, those are kind of the guys I'd expect the Jaguars to take this draft 2021. Really, as long as they get Trevor Lawrence, and that's what they're doing, I feel like it's a successful draft. So I'm not too upset about it either way. If they can somehow get Kyle Pitts, that's obviously the number one thing they should try to do besides Lawrence. Anyways, that's what I think the Jaguars should draft here. 2021, thanks for watching. Smash like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, adios.
6,10